the co-founder and CEO of a modern wealth management business called Cadro. So Cadro is trying very hard to challenge the rather opaque and old-fashioned wealth management industry. And we have combined the foundations of the traditional industry by sort of having all the right checks and balances, thought processes, and safety safeguards. However, we've combined that with the power of technology to make investing a little bit more interesting. Lots of visuals, videos. We've produced our own app, which makes portfolio investing a bit of a breath of fresh air, I hope. We've won a bunch of awards. The one I'm really proud of was a few weeks ago we were called Game Changers of the Year, and of course that kind of made my night. I was worried we would drink so much we would lose the trophy, but we did bring it to the office the following day. I think anybody who's been in a startup living or its own company, you know how important these things are. So very quickly, that's me. I've got a bunch of awards. I'll go straight through because it's not really that important. What's really important is how you do what you guys do, which is invest with enormous conviction and achieve some diversification. And I think we've already heard two stories, which was investing in about 500 companies, and that diversifies. But I think that's actually quite tricky, and there are perhaps other ways. So I wanted to share my thoughts. So angels invest with big conviction. As you all know, you get rather excited, even when it doesn't make money. I've noticed angels get very excited about the investments they make. I've certainly made a few myself. So you get this excitement, fulfillment, success, personal validation that you've made a good decision, especially when the business does really well, which, as we heard, actually isn't all that frequently. But okay, that's another story. I think hopefully some of the stats aren't as scary as what we've heard earlier. Right, so obviously a lot of people like to give, they like to train and help businesses, and I've found that from my angel investors, they've been enormously helpful. Then you have the sort of old adage portfolio diversified portfolio investment of stocks, shares, S&P. I heard you could leave your money S&P, make 6%. It's not that bad. Probably make a bit more even. You have long-term predictability. And in that long-term predictability, it means that your portfolio goes up and down roughly with global economy, plus and minus some alpha, which everybody's trying to sell. Also not easy to get. But you do get liquidity, i.e. if suddenly those school fees go up, you can sell a bit of that and pay off the school fees, pay off your mortgage, or just do other things, go on a lovely holiday. And there is advantage to having personal liquidity, which is why diversification with one's own balance sheet is somewhat useful and important, perhaps not the most exciting thing. But you do need a bit of focus, advisors, managers. Hence, I'm in business. I'm glad it's a bit complicated. There are a wide range of asset classes. I met somebody who's multifamily office. They do property investing. As you know, there's lots of ways of investing one's money. It gets complex, and it does require monitoring, and again, which is why I'm glad to be in business. How do you then combine the two? And to me, there are a few sort of key questions. And it's like, why do you invest? I invest because, right? I need to live. I want to, safely retire. I want to prove to my brother I'm smarter than him. That was, for a very long time, my key component of my investment strategy. And I think maybe I'll win. It's a long game I'm playing. And then I invest when, right? In what circumstances do you invest? In what circumstances do you not? It's good to have this kind of thought process. And then how do you allocate your time? Do you have the time, right? 500 investments those guys made. They have teams, not just their own time. So you have to think about that. And what do you actually enjoy? And so maybe your balance sheet should be an enabler of your lifestyle. You shouldn't be a slave to your balance sheet, I always say. So do what you enjoy. So how do you then decide? You need some kind of budget, D to C ratio, diversification to conviction ratio. And I think each person needs their own budget. Very important to understand your loss tolerance within that, liquidity needs. And what is also really important is vintages. Not all investments will be presented to you in the year you've made your money, but there is something called vintage diversification. So have a multi-year budget for your angel investing, for your illiquid investing. It tends to pay off. And last and not least, who are you going to play with, right? So you need to leverage your advisors, clubs, and friends, and ultimately, this is why we're all here today. Thank you very much.